This is WFO Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to WFO Radio. Joe Costello here with you. And we got more Denso Spark Plugs U.S. Nationals winners. And this particular episode, I'm super excited about because we got a bunch of racers that are great racers. They won Indy, but overcame some sort of obstacle. Scotty Pollacheck, first win in his 12th final round in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle. But boy, does he win a big one. He wins the big go. We're going to hear from Scotty just seconds from now. So if you're a fan of NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle, I encourage you, share this link. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, retweet it. Start a watch party for your audience because it's going to be great. A first-time interview with Scotty Pollacheck. And we got photos we're going to check out. It's going to be awesome. Also, Doug Gordon going to be on the show. So fans of the Lucas Oil Series Top Alcohol Dragster category, we're going to hear from Doug. Doug going to be on the show, talk about, speaking of a little bit of a drought, he had a drought between his last win and his most recent win here at the U.S. Nationals, but that's over. Doug Gordon going to be on the show. And finally, kicking off or ending off the show, it's going to be Troy Williams Jr., who won in Super Comp. This guy's won the $1 Million race a couple times, won the overall points in the 5-day bracket race. This guy is a legend already, and now he's an Indy winner. We'll be speaking with Troy Williams Jr. Coming up a little bit early. There's a lot of Troys. There's Troy Coughlin Jr., there's Troy Williams Jr., there's a lot of Troys out there, but Troy Williams Jr. going to be on the show. Can't wait. Of course, I'm WFO Joe, and before we get to our guests and all the great stuff that we're going to have on the show, I want to tell you about the people who literally make it possible for me to do this show. Talking about Total Seal Piston Rings, leader in ring seal technology. We've got the Hidden Horsepower podcast that is out there, but they got a brand new website. Why don't you open a browser as soon as you're done with the show and check it out, totalseal.com, whether you are looking for piston rings for a bracket engine or all the way up to stock eliminator, super stock, Formula One, they fit the rings. Pretty amazing. They've got great tools as well, totalseal.com. Samtech.edu, I can tell you right now, there is a new factory stock podcast available right now. You can go hear Aaron Stanfield and Brian Massengill talk about winning the U.S. Nationals and look ahead to the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. But really, it's an exercise to teach all the young people out there that there's a career in racing for you. It doesn't have to be in racing, it could be in aerospace, but you got to go to the right school, and Samtech is the right school. Go to samtech.edu. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. This one is just fun. Maybe you want to become a champion race car driver, sure, like Erica or Fast Jack, or maybe you just want to have a little fun in the dragster adventure. Well, that's what Frank Hawley is all about. Go to frankhawley.com to find out more information. Really cool. And Marvin Rodak, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, the hot sauces and the spice rubs and grills and everything good. They've got tools and tips. Go to the website, Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com, or give them a call, 817-924-6821. A little bit later on in the show, I'll tell you how you can get a WFO radio face covering and all kinds of good stuff, including free stickers. But right now, let's get into it with our U.S. Nationals winner in Pro Stock Motorcycle, Mr. Scotty Pollacheck. Scotty, congratulations. You did it.
Thank you, Joe. How's everything going?
Well, I'm great. I can tell you. How's everything going with you? I know you guys are dodging fire embers out there. What I see on the news, very scary. And you come home from Indy to that. What's that been like?
You know, it was such a exhilarating thing winning the race, but coming home and the next day after I got home, you know, the fires started and just haven't stopped. And it's been really devastating here to the area. Today, they're saying there's 2,357 houses gone. You know, just really, really bad for everybody around here. Everybody's been affected in one way or another.
Yeah, I saw some clips, chopper shots of what appeared to be a neighborhood before, and now it's just streets. And that's something we can't imagine. And boy, does it keep our perspective on our hobby, right? Like a racing, it's a career, but it's fun and good times. And every once in a while, some really bad times can hit our fellow Americans out of nowhere. I know we got Sally going on down there in Louisiana, slow rolling through the bayou. But let's talk about the good times and this amazing weekend. All right, I wanna get into like what it means and what happened in the round by round. But first, we got to start at the beginning, which is my unbelievable prediction that this was going to happen on our Patreon show. I think that is what takes precedent to all of this. I do a show for Patreons. What they are patrons. They pay to get bonus content. And before the U.S. Nationals, I was cranking out a bonus show, and I never make predictions, Scotty, because they're always going to be wrong. And what's the point? And to make public predictions, I don't want to interject my own energy into other people's energy, because who knows what's going to happen. But in this case, now that it's already happened, let's take a listen to some of the content on the Patreon show, since it's all about me, that happened right before, because I was a little angry at you that you didn't come on the show. Just kidding. But listen to this. And we just got to get some cars, man. Super Street 1090 Index. First time ever at the U.S. Nationals. That's going to be a lot of fun. We got this Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle. We're going to get excited. We're going to get fired up. Who's the winner? I'm going to say something. I tried to get him on the show. He's not coming on. He's busy. Too hectic. I appreciate him telling me so. But I think Scotty Pollacheck, guys. Watch Scotty Pollacheck. Scotty Pollacheck. It's all coming together for Scotty Pollacheck. Stock Seth, don't say anything. This is between us. Scotty Pollacheck can come out of the weekend. That's my pulling it out of the Cosmos pick. Pollacheck has had fast bikes. Matt Smith, Angie Smith working on the bike, and they want Scotty to win. They want him to win. Of course they want to win, but they want him to win. He's been a good customer. He's been around. He left. He came back. Susie's one of the nicest people you're ever going to meet, and Scotty is like as nicer. They're great people, wonderful people. They deserve to drink from the chalice of victory. And so he's got 2 shots this weekend. He's got the Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle. He's got to get through Steve Johnson. And Scotty has just been, he's close. He's knocking at the door. He's knocking at the door. Fighting, you know who he's fighting the most of all? He's fighting himself. He's fighting himself. It's you against you. Go listen to the training montage from Rocky IV, and you'll see. What is it? The dichotomy that drives us all? And on that note, this has been 25 minutes for Patreons. You paid for this. They paid for that. And they got the pick of the win. And now it's reality, Scotty. You won the U.S. Nationals. You made the final round of the Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle. You ran 200 miles per hour. When you look back at this weekend, why did it all come together here?
Well, first of all, I guess I owe it all to you, because I thought I was going to thank a bunch of other people, but it looks like you were responsible for all that success.
No. That's not what it is. It's not that I'm responsible. It's that I saw it happening. No, it was happening.
That's awesome.
I saw it happening, Scotty. You could see it. It's like sometimes you can see things coming together. And this was coming together at the end of last year, from what I'm thinking. And you coming to Gainesville, you were ready, and things just weren't exactly right. You could see this one coming together. I made no other prediction, by the way. It's not like I made a bunch of predictions and one came true. I made no other prediction. That was the only thing I said. And that's why I told Stockseth to keep it down, because I don't want that out there. But now it's over. You did it.
Well, you're the man, Joe. I thank you for that. I appreciate it. And a couple other things. I want to personally endorse one of your sponsors, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School.
Oh, sure.
I went there in 1994.
Wow.
And Frank was awesome. George Bryce was teaching the class back then. But that was a phenomenal experience and a great sponsor to have. So kudos to them.
Thank you for saying that. Frank and Lana have been so great to us on WFO, one of our longest running sponsors. And I really hope that, you know, they do so many things over there, like train the next generation of champion drivers, race winning drivers such as yourself, but also that program for people who just want to have fun and drive dragsters and get a little taste of drag racing. That's cool too. So start off with a 200 mile per hour run. Did it feel like you were going 200? Like that's only 3 other people had done it before you.
You know, it was a phenomenal run. We were racing Steve Johnson in the first round of the Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle. And I wasn't really looking for the 200 mile an hour deal. I was looking for the win light to move on to the next round in that. And I was just trying my best to make, you know, as good a run as I could. And Steve was right next to me the whole time, all the way down the track. And I thought, man, that was a really close race. And I came off the end of the track, and Matt was holding up the 200 mile an hour sign. And it just totally took me aback. I wasn't, you know, ready for that or expecting that. And so first thing I said to him, I says, "You're kidding, right?" And he says, "Nope." He goes, "You did 200. And so then the next thing I thought was, if I went 200, how fast was Steve going? Because he was right on my tail the whole time. And as it turned out, we went 678, and I think Steve went an 82. So, it was by far both of our, best runs, since we'd been there. So that was definitely something to get into the Denso 200-mile-an-hour club for sure.
And I'm sure everybody is so thankful that they don't have to carry around all that paperwork anymore. At least like that's a long-standing program. Denso puts up money to make this a big deal, and to get 4 different riders. It has taken, I think, longer than most people would have anticipated.
For sure, because it started in 2018 when Hector Rana Jr. was the first one at Gainesville to get into it, and then in that same year, Matt Smith and Eddie Krawick also joined. So it's been a long time since, anybody got into the club. And at the end of the track up there, Matt handed me the sign, and one of the top end worker guys says, "Man," he goes, "would you please take that home?" He goes, "We've been carrying that around for 3 years." He goes, "I don't want to have to look at it anymore."
That's exactly right. No, that's the whole behind the scenes. Everyone needs to understand being aware, at the ready. What are the conditions? Where's the wind, right? Like, we got to be ready. We can't get caught off guard with a 200-mile-per-hour run, the final member. And now it's closed. It's locked out. Scotty Pollacheck's name will be forever remembered as a 200-mile-per-hour racer. And then you go to the final round and red light by 1,000th of a second. What was that? That had to be tough. That had to be annoying because you're riding a great bike. You're feeling really great about it. Matt broke. And so had you not gone red, you'd have won the race for the most part. And you didn't know what the Cosmos had planned for you yet.
Well, here's the secret to the final round of the bike battle is I let the clutch out. I seen the red light come on, and I'm yelling in my helmet, "that sucks." And I thought, well, I still want to make a good run here. And so I shifted to second. Everything was still going good. When I went to shift to third, it didn't shift. And so then I thought, well, that's even worse than the red light. That's definitely not good. But then I looked up and I seen Matt in a cloud of smoke. And I'm like, oh, that's way worse, And so even though I red lit by 1,000th, I wouldn't have caught him anyway, just because the bike didn't shift. And I remember thinking, man, Matt just won that $25,000, but I think he just spent it all. So net gain, I think I made more money than he did that day, even though he won a lot more money. But that right there was probably the only thing that didn't go almost perfect the whole weekend.
Right. And everything happens for a reason. And, you weren't meant to get your first win in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle in a specialty race. You were meant to get your first win in the biggest race that there is, the Denso Spark Plugs U.S. Nationals, which just happened to be the next day. So when you went to sleep that night, were you feeling pretty confident, feeling good about your chances?
I really was. I mean, we were the number one qualifier, and, the bike was obviously fast. And I kind of felt like we dodged a bullet, having the bike not shift in the final of the bike battle, because otherwise, that could have very well been first round, Sunday morning. So I came into Sunday, feeling like, we had an awesome motorcycle. We got strut masters behind us, Chip's down there every run with us, giving us encouragement. It was a Denso race. Denso's always helping out. And, Matt was doing phenomenal, tuning calls on the bike all weekend. We started out with the 60-foot, wasn't spectacular. And he just kept working at it. And, all day Sunday, the bike 60-footed really good. Every time, he would change a little something, it would do exactly what it was supposed to. So, yeah, all day Sunday, I was really, really confident, knowing that we had a bike that could win.
That is great. Angie is out there, which is awesome. What's up, Angie? Saying that there's 8 spots in the Mickey. I said I got that wrong. I was under the impression that there were 4 spots. There's 8 spots in the Denso 200-mile-per-hour club. So they're going to have to carry the sign around for a little while longer. And maybe me and the top end worker had the same piece of information for whatever reason. But yes, 8 positions. So there's 4 more to go. So we'll carry that thing around till 2022, no less. But so race morning, here it is, the big go, and you're able to come out of the box pretty strong. Just turning it green, letting the bike do the work, knowing you've got a bike that can win and that this is the biggest race. Were you feeling that element to it? The idea that the U.S. Nationals is the premier race, the season has barely started for you guys, and you want to go one round further.
Yeah, I mean, we just wanted to, take it one round at a time, like everybody says. But, for a guy like me, it's all about routine, try and do the same things over and just concentrate, on the task at hand there and, and make a good run. It was important, to have lane choice, so we were trying to make the best run that we could, go as fast as we could, to come around for the next round and have lane choice. And, the first round against Michael Phillips, we did just that. We backed it off on the clutch for the reaction time and, didn't want a repeat of the night before. So we were just, real careful there. But, luckily the bike was good enough that went 681 at 199, for a great run to come around, for the second round.
And then, not that Michael Phillips is an easy run or anything, but I spoke with Michael and who was there. He's trying to sell the motorcycle, dipping his toe back in the water. I want Michael Phillips out there as often as is possible on a quick and fast bike because he's a smack talker. He likes to shake up, right? And, get him and Matt and a bunch of others, Eddie, talking smack. You're not really a smack talker, Scotty, which that's not your character, and I get it. But when you get through him, now it gets tougher. You got to go up against Angel. Angel got through Flying Ryan, a couple of first-time winners. We've got all these first-time winners this season, and she's feeling good on that Harley-Davidson. You left first, 037, and another 682 at 199.08. So you're living over 199 miles per hour, and another win light, and you load up Angel.
Yeah, that was definitely a big round, because she put us out the race before in the semis. And, she's been on a roll. Ryan's been on a roll. They were leading the points, coming into the race. And, anytime you line up next to a Harley, you got your work cut out for you. And doesn't matter if it's Eddie, Andrew, or Angel. I mean, they all always run good. But yeah, we did exactly what we wanted to do when we got up there. We left first, made a nice straight run, went fast enough to get lane choice again. And it worked just like we wanted it to.
It's amazing to watch the bike, like the low numbers. I don't know what they are relatively to normal, but your initial move was visibly impressive. Like you could watch the bike in the first 60 feet and it just looked efficient, if that's the right word, like not a lot of wasted motion. It just was a rocket ship. And it must have showed up down track, setting up that battle against Steve Johnson, a rematch of the first round of the Mickey Thompson Pro Bike Battle. You and Steve, he obviously was not able to get down the track. And so 682 won, 199.32, setting up the final round. But just talk about now, okay, here we go, back-to-back finals, got another shot.
Yeah, it was, I knew it was going to be a tough battle racing him because we just raced him the day before and, we had such a tight race. But unfortunately for him, something happened on his and he didn't get to run. But we did make another really good run, enough to get lane choice over Andrew. And, I knew he didn't want to be in that right lane. So that was, something for us to be happy about and know that we had a good shot, in the final round. But, here you are, I still feel like we're kind of the little bracket racing team from, Southern Oregon that's out there playing with, the giants like Andrew, the winningest pro stock motorcycle rider ever, got more championships than anybody. And of course, Alan Reinhardt had to remind me of all that while we're sitting there waiting to go and it's all quiet. And he's nice enough to tell everybody that Andrew's looking for his 57th win and I'm looking for my first win. And I'm like, Alan, I didn't really need to hear all that going into this, I'm trying to concentrate and, focus on what I need to do. But it all worked out in the end. It was kind of a funny thing after it was all said and done.
Erica had a story very similar to this where Alan Reinhardt told her she was twice as old as Mason McGahey. So you kind of she's in there getting ready to go. She's like, yeah, he's twice as old as Mason McGahey. She's like, say what? But yeah, that's the deal. You guys hear everything, like all the pre-race hype, all the drama that we're trying to build for the audience. You got to listen to it. That's got to be intense. Steve, by the way, had an oil leak. And I recall talking to him on the starting line, and he was just gutted. But that's racing. That's the way it is. Okay, look, Lisa's on there giving us the important facts because I misspoke. But the good news is that we get to talk about it because I misspoke. Denso is honoring 8 spots in the club. Remaining 4 spots will receive team jackets and a $1,000 payout if they're running Denso Spark Plugs. Now, whether or not NHRA carries around the sign is another story. Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for all the great stuff you did out there at the U.S. Nationals. Amazing stuff. All right, so John Force made a lot of final rounds before he won a race. That's a thing. It's hard to break through, but you got to keep knocking. And that's what I was talking about on the Patreon show. If you keep knocking at the door, one day it's going to open. You might not even be at your best on the day that it opens. You might be just there to take advantage. But in this case, you were really good. 033 reaction time, 679.0, and you broke 200 again against Andrew, as if there was ever any doubt, and that was top speed of the meet, to win in style. Tell me about the run, and then when the light comes on the wall. That's what everybody wants to hear about, because that's the changing of a person from someone who's trying to win to a winner, and it happened at Indy.
It did, and I mean, that was definitely a great feeling, but, starting the run, like I say, I was just concentrating, wanting to make sure I had a good light, and I let the clutch out, and it took off and 60-footed great, just like it had been. The best part was I didn't hear him. I didn't see him. And so I'm just shifting through the gears, trying to get down there as quick as I can. And I kept thinking any minute now, he's going to be coming up and I'll hear him and I'll see him. But I never heard him. I never seen him. And I'm in high gear and I'm looking for the finish line. And I crossed the finish line and I still don't see him and hear him. And my light came on and I'm like, that's incredible that, we just beat Andrew Hines in the final at Indy for our first win, that we'd been looking for so long. I mean, in our 12th final round, I mean, I was talking to Kevin McKenna this morning and I said, that's gotta be close to some kind of a record, that many final rounds. And he said, Bob Vandergriff was in 14 final rounds before he won. So we were close to that with Bob, but that's still an amazing stat, and like you say, you keep knocking on the door. Finally, you might just trip and fall through it, but I think we kind of beat the door down there and got it done finally.
Now that it's over, were there any moments of doubt? Like, let's enough of this. What's going on? It's not meant to be. I'm not going to be able to do this. Like all these final rounds. First of all, most people would kill to go to a final round at all.
For sure.
In fact, you had 12 opportunities. It says a lot about it. Period. But I could also see getting a little down, like wondering, questioning what fate has in store for you. So was there a point where you thought maybe this is not for us?
We'd been out there for so long, and it just was kind of like second nature, to be racing all the time. But you definitely get frustrated, when you've got a good motorcycle and you think that you're, doing your job okay, that, one of these times you think you should be able to get it done. But one thing about being out here racing is you're not owed anything. I mean, you got to earn it. There's nothing easy out there. It's not something to take lightly, but, we always had the hope, that one day it would all happen for us, at the right time. And we've waited long enough to finally get that day.
Amazing. All right. I want you to comment about a couple of different people. This was a big weekend for Chip from Strutmasters, who has really come out of, I don't want to say out of nowhere. He's been involved in racing and motorsport for a long time, but to support drag racing, drag racers, there was a time you needed a sponsor. You reached out and boom, he's on there to help you. He got his first 2 Wallies this weekend. Justin Ashley is able to get him a Wally from the previous race, the Summer Nationals, and now you get him a U.S. Nationals Wally. And not everybody knows Chip, but they know Strutmasters. What's it like working with Chip?
Chip's awesome. He is such a race fan. He just told us the other day, he says, if I'm breathing, I'm racing, and that's the kind of guy you want helping you, and the guy, standing behind you, supporting you. He just loves everything about racing, and you can tell. I mean, he's helping so many people out that, he's just very, very passionate about it. And what an awesome weekend, for Justin and I both to give him a Wally, from the weekend. I mean, it was awesome.
Amazing stuff. And then we talk about her as much, and if we're being honest, probably more than we talk about you. And we're talking about Susie. I've been able to. You guys came on our Ron Tobler Wine Night happy hour show, which is still up on YouTube and our Facebook page. But talk about your teammate in life, Susie, who does such a great thing. You guys have known each other since what? High school sweethearts, kind of went apart, got back together, got married. And now the idea that she wasn't there, that's the only negative of the whole weekend, right? But again, who knows why things happen, but you guys are a genuine team. Like, she does all kinds of stuff in front of and behind the scenes to make it possible for you to do this.
Oh yeah, she's phenomenal, and it was junior high school, so I mean it's been a long time coming, but yeah, it was a real bummer, that she wasn't there. That was probably the worst thing of the whole weekend. But she's amazing. She does so many things, like, she set up this stuff. I couldn't have done this, if she wasn't here doing it. Normally up until this year, she goes to every race with me, and she takes care of, a lot of the stuff for the pro stock motorcycle class. Just she's my biggest cheerleader. It's like I'll get down and, she'll pump me back up and get me, back where I need to be. I definitely wouldn't be here doing this if it wasn't for her. That's for sure.
Oh, that's amazing. No, it's great to hear. And nobody's owed anything, but you certainly wish positive things for people who deserve it through their actions. And you guys are those people, and you've invested a lot. You kept on coming. You're tenacious, and now you got to win. But just like that, it's like everything changes because you're the points leader with just a couple of races to go in the season. And maybe there's bigger things on the horizon, as crazy as that might seem, bigger than winning the Denso Spark Plugs U.S. Nationals. What's next? What do how are you going to handle the remainder of the season?
Well, the plan is to go to Gainesville, and, hopefully we just come out of the trailer and keep running, like we did in Indy. The bike's been really good all year. MSR, Matt and Angie, they take care of everything away from the racetrack. And the bike's just been phenomenal. So if we can just keep making runs like we have been, me doing my job and the bike staying with it, I think we got a good shot at being really competitive the rest of the year.
I agree. You're up 25 on Andrew and 26 on Eddie and 27 on Matt and 30 on Angel and 47 on Ryan. So few races, such a small sample size. It's very tight. Going to the semifinals for all the remaining races is a good way to start. Scotty, great job. Really appreciate you coming on the show. This winner view, speaking with you as a winner, watching you change from someone who has been trying to someone who has won. I think about Matt and Angie, helping John Hall win the U.S. Nationals, helping you win the U.S. Nationals. Just amazing, the team dynamic that they have over there. Such great people. And you'll always be a U.S. Nationals winner. And you carry that swagger, and I'm sure there's more coming, right? Like, they're coming in bunches now.
That's what everybody always says they do. So I hope they're right. That's for sure. I'll take them.
Yeah, I know you will. All right, well, we'll see you next weekend at the Gator Nationals, and we'll try to keep it going. Mike Heiner saying congratulations. Everybody saying congratulations to you guys on an amazing win. Scott, thank you so much. Thanks for coming on the show. Most importantly, stay safe out there. Whatever it is you got to do it, and we'll see you in Gainesville.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, there he goes. Scotty Pollacheck, first-time pro stock motorcycle winner. How about it? Amazing. We got Doug Gordon coming up just seconds from now, Troy Williams Jr. in a few minutes, and we're going to speak with more big winners at the U.S. Nationals. But I just want to dive in a little deeper on Scotty in that nothing is given. It must be taken, and that's what drag racing is all about. People will help you get to the track. They'll help you get to the starting line. They'll help you run fast, but when you're staging up, it's you alone. You got to figure it out, and he figured it out in a big way. Hey, a couple people posting in the comments section about WFO Radio face coverings. Want to let you know that I shipped some out today. $10, including shipping, and you'll get some WFO Radio stickers in there as well. So $10 with shipping and some WFO Radio stickers. It's a killer deal. Go to WFOradio.com, click WFO store, and get yourself some face coverings. And if you don't want the face covering, that's fine. Self-addressed stamped envelope to this address, P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. And I'll send you some stickers to put on your toolbox or put on your car, put on wherever you want. WFO radio stickers, and those are free. Just send a self-addressed stamped envelope. All right, time for our next Denso Spark Plugs U.S. Nationals winner. He's won races before, but this was a big one because it ended a long drought, bunch of final rounds, and he finally knocks in the door for the brand new sponsor, Beta Motorcycles, Mr. Doug Gordon. Doug, there it is, the trophy. There he is.
The trophy.
Oh, man, that thing looks great.
It does. We're happy to have it.
Oh, I'm sure. So Scotty had never won a pro stock motorcycle race, made the final round. This was his 12th final round. You're in a different situation. You've won many races, but all of a sudden, for reasons unknown, you had stopped being able to break through in the final round. What was it? How many finals in a row had you made since your last win?
Yeah, I was looking it up yesterday, actually, and I think it was seven or eight in a row that we've been to the final and haven't been able to get a win. And I think I had heard that somebody told me my final round national event total was like 35 and now 10 wins, 35 national runner-ups, or 25 runner-ups and 10 wins.
That's definitely the kind of stat you want to keep a secret, unless there was a time that Antron Brown had beaten Steve Torrance like 20 out of 30 or something, like some crazy number that was, and stats find a way of turning around. But making the final, like I told Scotty, making the final is still great. It's a great weekend, but you wonder why you can't break through. After winning, is there any reason that you think was just tripping you guys up for this little stretch of 7 in a row, making the final round and not being able to break through?
We were making mistakes. I mean, coming into the final rounds, you gotta be your best. And there's times we didn't go down the track or didn't cut a good enough light or, made mistakes, or sometimes just got unlucky too. And, but at times maybe we weren't the best car, so it's, but this year Dad's really worked on the program. We've all teamed up and tried our best to put 110% effort, and the results are showing right now.
So I want to ask you about your round by round. For instance, starting off against Tony Bogolo, and you went a 7:05 at 2:05. He had some problems, but you had to wrestle the thing. You had to get it down there, and that's what we love about Top Alcohol Funny Car. Last year in Vegas, you had a tumble. We've seen several. These things are very hard to drive, very challenging machines. And when you're trying to take the stripe at the U.S. Nationals in round one, you might have to wrestle it down, and you did.
Yeah, no, that was definitely our lucky round. I mean, we would have got beat, I think, by any other car, at the track, on that round. And the car took off, and it shook and went over towards the center line. And then I pedaled it, and every time I'd get back on the gas, it would move over towards the center line. And I'm like, man, come on, and waiting for him to come around me. And I kept hitting it. I actually hit the gas 10 times. And one time towards the top of second gear, I hit it and made a big move, and I thought I was going to cross the center line. And finally, I let off, straightened it out, shifted into third, and then rolled into the gas and ran it through. And I figured for sure we were getting beat right there. And coming into that round was a very nervous round because we had Bellemere was 2 pairs ahead of us, and he went out. And I'm like, oh, and, we got a good car, so we got championship stuff on our mind, maybe, whatever, so. That was, my leg was shaking going into that round, and then to have all that go down made it even crazier.
That's an element that we can't understand unless you've raced in any kind of consequential situation where your competition is in front of you and something happens and now it's your turn. Mm-hmm. I can't even imagine what that's like for you guys, whether it be good track conditions or bad track conditions, tough situation. But when the points leader went down, I was on the mic for that. And that was an emotional win for Johnny Lindbergh because of all the extra stuff associated with Dominic Lagana. Of course, we've got the Nitro Ninja up there, and I'm rocking my shirt, and everybody's rocking the shirt and the paint scheme and everything. And that was an epic race. But for Sean Bellemere, all of a sudden now he's out first round, and the U.S. Nationals trophy is available to whoever wants to go get it.
Yeah, we wanted to go, I was trying to get fourth pair because I knew that they had picked third pair. And I'm like, oh, I hopefully can get fourth pair. I want to get right behind him. And I wasn't even really thinking about championship stuff. I just really wanted to see that race. I knew it was going to be a good race. I mean, Lindbergh's good and Bellemere's good. And I felt bad for Bellemere when he got Lindbergh first round. We went into the last qualifying session with a good car. We backed it down for the first qualifying session. Then we went into the last one and we really went for it. And I'm like, and I knew going into that, I was like, whoa, if we get number 1 here, we're going to end up at Lindbergh first round. And then it went down there and it went fast. And I'm like, oh man, hopefully it didn't go too fast. And then it went 50 flat instead of 49. I'm like, all right, yeah, don't have Lindbergh first.
Reinhardt mentioned that in the broadcast booth. He came up to me and he's like, so if you're Doug Gordon, do you really want to go to number 1 and run Johnny Lindbergh first round? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if you can dial a car in to not go number 1, but still go really quick or not, but you didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, we went for it. We went for as fast as we could go. What we thought we could go as fast as we could go. And luckily for us, it wasn't quite fast enough.
Yeah, well, exactly. And as it turns out, you are able to go on to the second round where you run Chip Beverett, and now back to business with a 548 and a very strong run, and onto the semis where you go up against Dan Pomponio, who I want to know how you were preparing for Dan, who everybody had to be talking about his reaction times over the course of the weekend. People can cut lights in alcohol funny cars and have great lights, but this guy was next level on this given weekend for whatever reason. Dan was killing the tree.
I think he's next level. I mean, pretty much every weekend, so we knew going into that. I mean, he was going to be good on the tree. And I've struggled on the tree for the last few years. I mean, when I first started driving, I was pretty darn good, but I've struggled. I do, 50, 60, 70 guy. And you see these guys out there cutting 10, 20, 30s. I'm like, man. And then I had a little bit of confidence, in this weekend. My qualifying, I was a 40 and a 48. And then I had a 35 or something like that against Beverett, or 38 or something. So I'm like, wow, I got it. I can cut a light too. And, so it was one of those deals is, hey, if I could stay close to Pomponio on the tree, I know we got a car that's fast enough, and the conditions were good. Conditions were cool. So I knew we could apply a lot of our power. So I thought we had a good shot at it, as long as I could keep up close enough.
And you were able to do that. And then setting up the final round against Brian Howe, where you uncork the run 548-1, 268. This is it. Final round, U.S. Nationals. Tell me about just everybody getting ready, your team, the fam, everybody, the gravity of this run that you're about to undertake. You got this brand new sponsor, Beta Motorcycles, coming on. We sat on the stage in Pomona and thought about this amazing season we were going to undertake. Who knew all the craziness that would happen? But here's a chance to lock in something really positive in 2020. How did you handle it?
Well, luckily it was a pretty quick turnaround from round to round, so I didn't have a whole lot of time to think about it. It was just get the car done, get it back up to the lanes, and just try to get out there and go racing. So I try not to get too much in my head. I got head stuff going on earlier in the weekend when I started thinking about championships and Bellemere going out. And I'm like, okay, now this is just another round. Let's just keep racing. And if we're gonna win one, it'll come around one of these days. But if it's not it, it's not it. I was excited because I had my 2 daughters there, and they were the first time being at Indy, and they were just every round. It was like, just the excitement of being at Indy. So they were so excited, and but then to finally get down there to throw the chutes and have the wind light come on was just like, you got to be kidding me! This just happened, and so it was really, really exciting.
That's awesome. Now let's talk about Macy and Madison. They work on the car. Like this is, Alan mentioned to me yesterday. They're not. There are people who come and they love everything that's going on. They'll help out. Not everybody wants to put their hands into hot oil after a run, but that's what your 2 daughters are doing. They work on the car and they helped you win the U.S. Nationals.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they are a vast majority of the crew. We got, Madison's doing the bottom end, checking the bearings and everything. Macy's doing the, running the valves and doing the fuel and oil. The 2 of them can basically take apart the car, put it all back together by themselves, So this year, this COVID stuff has been really bad and been, frustrating and everything. But at the same time, it actually allowed them to come on the road with me and do a lot more stuff, since this whole school, they can't go to school, and what they can do school, they could do social distance learning or whatever with the computer. So it's allowed them to go on the road and do a lot more stuff. And, it's allowed them to get, be a bigger part of the team.
That is awesome. No, it's great news. It's a great story. And as you mentioned that, World Championship is out there as well. It's a different kind of year, but it's going to be meaningful nonetheless. And how about Beta Motorcycles? You probably sold them a bill of goods trying to bring them on board. Right? Yeah, we'll go out and we'll win Indy. It'll be great. You'll see.
It's funny when they came on board, their big deal was they wanted TV coverage. It's like, okay, yeah, we go to 10 national events a year, whatever, and hopefully we can make TV at most of them, and well, of course, there's only ends up being going to be 6 of them or whatever, and but at least the 2 that we've got to be at so far, we won Indy and we were in the final at Pomona, and got very good coverage on both of them, so we're they're happy.
Oh, well, they should be. And if they're out there watching, thank you for supporting Doug. He's a great guy, and this is what we need. The alcohol funny car category, it's awesome. So many great personalities. Yeah, not quite as many people, not quite as fast, but the way you guys have to run these cars to be successful, the intensity of the launch on the starting line, all great stuff. And now U.S. Nationals victory for you guys. All right, so what's the remainder of your season going to look like?
But we're just going to try to go everywhere. Dad actually left this morning. He's driving to Indy right now to go pick up the trailer. We left it at Lindbergh's house. We're going to pick up the trailer and start heading for Gainesville. We'll do Gainesville, and then I think we get 2 weekends off, and then we'll go to Dallas, Houston, and Vegas, and then just see what happens.
I like it. I like it. Well, regardless, it's been a win of a season. Now it can only get better and better. You won the U.S. National. Doug, any final thought before we let you go for everybody out there in the WFO universe?
No, I just want to, say thanks for having me on here. Thanks for, everybody that helps make this happen. Thanks to my wife for supporting us and making this thing happen, and being let me take the girls away, sticking her at home by herself half the time, but she doesn't get to come to very many of the races. But thanks, Mom, Dad, Rick, the girls, Beta, Lucas Oil, NGK, and everybody makes this happen.
Doug, great job. Thank you very much. Congratulations on winning the Denso Spark Plugs U.S. Nationals, NHRA's biggest race. Look at that guy, man. He's awesome. Congratulations, Doug.
All right. Thanks, Joe.
There he goes. Doug Gordon with us here on WFO. I love it. First time not first time U.S. National winner, but in that winning the U.S. Nationals, period, whenever it happens, is an amazing feat. And it does mean more. There's a lot of races out there. It does mean more. I see we got Troy Williams Jr. ready to come on. Let's bring him on. In fact, to talk about that, someone who has literally won millions of dollars drag racing, not in an alcohol funny car, not in a nitro funny car, in a bracket car. Troy Williams from FTI goes out there and wins Super Comp. Troy, welcome to WFO. How are you?
Hey, Joe. What's going on, man? Doing great.
Yeah, just doing a show, hanging out, talking to people whose lives have been significantly altered for the better by the results of last Sunday. How about you? You are now a U.S. Nationals winner. You've won so many big races, got a big story on NHRA.com right now for everybody to go read. You tell me, as someone who's won all the big stuff, how does this one rank?
Oh, man, it's obviously up there near the top. I mean, it has to be a bucket list destination goal race for anyone who's ever driven a race car in, drag racing fashion. Honestly, I grew up around bracket racing, so I probably earlier on I didn't put the emphasis on that race that I should have. When I first started traveling, running NHRA quite a bit, I really got the feel for Indy. I actually ran Indy one other time, and it was a week-long deal back then. So actually, after winning it, you gain a lot of appreciation. Just the outpouring of text and calls and ultimately just people that are very influential in the sport reaching out to you that, I just won a $100,000 bracket race earlier this year. I won the $1 million race. And those people, although they might say good job when they see you, they don't go through an effort to call you and contact you the way they do whenever you win Indy. It's crazy.
Wow. And you got like nearly 200 texts in a minute or some crazy stat. There were people who had their texts filled out, ready to send it before the final round was run, I'm sure, to congratulate you, and they blew up your phone.
Man, it was, I turned off the track, and actually you waved me off the track to the Winners Circle, and where they were doing the sport presentations.
Me, but who knows?
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Well, there's someone down there someone leaned in the car wearing a mask. It looked like you. They spoke to me, and I wasn't sure who it was. But anyhow, everybody's masked up there. So anyhow, they waved me to the Winners Circle, and it was probably a total of, 20 minutes getting photos, maybe 30, and doing contingency. Got back to the trailer and had 186 text messages.
And that's what it means to win Indy. Before we get into some of your round by round and runs and all, it's super comp is a category that I believe is just misunderstood. People see all these sportsman dragsters and they all kind of look the same. And it's like bracket racing in that there's a little confusion because you're not always trying to get to the finish line first, but that's what makes it really exciting to the people who understand what's going on. You, as a big money bracket racer, you and your brother Gary have won the $1 million race. In fact, since you won the Nationals, he went out there and won $100,000. So there's big money in that. It really focuses on driver talent. Can you give your best explanation to our viewers? Like, what is it that it takes to be successful?
Well, I mean, what it takes to be successful is very consistent reaction times. And it's a lot more people, while it is drag racing, and anyone can argue that fact, it's not drag racing in the conventional sense where you're trying to get to the finish line first. It's much more strategic. It's more of a chess game than the simple, and obviously I don't want to offend anyone who heads up races, because getting down the track faster than your opponent's never simple. But there's a lot more strategy go into it. They give you a target index. You have to run it in all different conditions throughout all different times of the day. And it boils down to whoever has the best reaction time. The term a whole shot means a lot more in an index or bracket style race than in a heads up race, because typically the heads up cars don't perform within 1,000th or 2,000th or 100th of a second, where every 1,000th in our style racing matters.
Yeah, and we saw that happen multiple times. Ultimately, though, you are able to come out on top. You work at FTI, and talk about a transmission company that has, I know you've been around for a while, but kind of just seized the top spot with top racers and going out there. And then so much so that Paul Lee kind of buys the company with his conglomerate, and had to be great to go out there and get the win for FTI and everyone. You're like their flagship driver, but transmissions in a lot of cars.
Yeah, man. I mean, it meant a lot to me to do that, especially with all the new management, Paul coming on board. Obviously, Paul's background is race. I mean, he NHRA racer. He ran alcohol funny car on up to Top Fuel currently, and he put a big emphasis on wanting to be a larger presence in NHRA. We're pretty well established in the bracket community and top dragster, top sportsman, that type of thing, and even the street driven lockup market. We've done a lot of marketing outside of posting contingency here and there and doing. I run a very, very limited schedule of NHRA races over the last 9 years that I've worked here, and just enough to show our face, say, hey, we do build products for your car too. This is the first time since I've been at FTI that I've campaigned a full season of NHRA, and to go out there and get the win with Paul and Krista and a lot of the team there that aren't normally at the races that I run. They're never typically at a bracket race or even a Division II race in NHRA. So the win with all those people there and get to see it and be on the same property was really special. And obviously to win the flagship race, the crown jewel of NHRA, it means a lot.
So let's talk about some of your runs. It clearly was, an 8-round race, so we can't go through every run, but you went up against some heavy hitters. You caught a break or two, as everybody that goes on to victory must do at some point. You beat Dan Fletcher. Highlight a run or two that you think was pivotal in your run to victory.
Well, I mean, absolutely.
Because I wanted to bring up the final.
Yeah, no problem. The absolute pivotal run was the round and there was a ton of red lights that round, mainly because it was better air than we've ran in, a little bit different light condition. The track was better. So I think there was a significant reaction time improvement for most drivers. Well, my opponent was 11th out red, and I was 3rd out red behind him. But that also set the tone for the rest of the race for me, because not only did I cover the red light, I additionally added some. So if you go back and look at all my other rounds, I think the best I could have been on an absolute hit would have been 14 or 13 on the tree if you throw that one run out. But clearly you have to cover it. You got to cover the red light. You don't want to do that in a national event situation where you go out and run in different air every day. You run first round one day, second round the next day, with third round following that. Then you're off. The next day you run 2 rounds in the morning, 2 rounds in the evening. It's just crazy, and to go out there and give it away with a red light is obviously not not the most strategic thing to do. I mean, if you leave with a decent green light, you're still in the race. As a lot of my runs showed, it clearly wasn't the best race I ever had on the start line. That's for sure.
But just to go 8 rounds in a row, it's really hard to be at your best every single round, and you just have to be better than the other guy, regardless of what happens. And you had a little help from somebody who is one of the greats. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about Kyle Seipel and how he was helping you from far away, which is kind of cool. You got Troy, who's a great driver, great at controlling the car and doing what he's got to do. And you got a great drag racing mind behind the scene helping with numbers. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Kyle actually reached out to me a few weeks prior to the race and said, "Hey man, I want to help you dial at Indy," and I'm like, "Oh, great." He said, "Well, send me your logbook and this and that." And I kind of laughed because, you've known me a long time, Joe. You know how I race. It's more of a situational seat of the pants, pay attention to what's going on and go from there. And, but man, you want to talk about, I don't think Kyle put a lot of thought into the time difference whenever we discussed him dialing my car.
Yeah.
Because they were calling us the lanes at no later than 9:00 in the morning every day. So that's 6 a.m. there. Well, the one day we warmed the car up at 6:30 and we were in the lanes at 7:30.
Yeah.
So him and I are exchanging texts, which would have been prior to 4 a.m. his time, and sending him information. And he was on point the whole time. And knowing exactly what you can run every round I had never realized how valuable it would be. Those races that went 1,000 feet away, those are the races that I potentially lose on my own, not with the confidence to know I need to get rid of this much ET to run to index, and any less is, going to break out, any more is going to be over. It really made a big difference.
Wow. And that's the kind of stuff that when you watch a football game and you see, these guys are running around, but you really don't understand how many layers of knowledge and practice and thought are going into it. There's a perfect example right here. You're a guy with an unbelievable resume, and Kyle takes whatever knowledge he brings to the table, kind of like in a crew chief analyst, analytical sense, setting the throttle stop, and put you two together. Look what happens. You go out there and get the job done. You cited an example for me yesterday that was pretty cool. I don't want to give up Kyle's secrets, obviously, but he impressed you with his ability. Give that example on the Byron.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all day. I mean, to be impressed with his ability throughout our conversations. It wasn't even predicting what my car was going to go. It was predicting the opponent's strategy as well. I mean, he would look at all their data, tell me what they had been running every round. So it was a very overall strategic performance. But really on the buy run, he goes, "Do you want to go 890?" And yeah, of course. I mean, I guess what difference does it make? He asked me, "Did I want to go 890 or did I want to practice the strategy we've been implementing the rest of the race?" And I said, "No, we'll go 890. He goes, "Okay." And it texts me what number to put in the stop. And he said, "That's 890 with a 0. And the car went 889.9. So I'm blown away that a guy, out in California, 3-hour time change behind me and not even at the track to consider, wind differences or, obviously, especially at that place, the wind swirls around. It may be blowing like crosshead on the starting line and then, more of a direct headwind down track. And he just throws this number out there and misses by 1,000. It was pretty incredible.
Amazing. But that's Kyle Seipel, and he's got so many people, and he runs with a crew of the most advanced minds in this style of racing. Like they are the brain trust of people. You think about the guys, Peter and Jimmy DeFrank and Bo and those guys, and then you put Troy Williams behind the wheel of a car that's got that kind of mental power. Look what happens. You're able to go out and get the job done. All right, let's talk about the final round. Someone who is familiar to the WFO universe, Jerron Settles, goes out there. He's had his first ever Indy, and you guys run in the final. And so I'm watching like, oh my gosh, I've known Troy since we were kids. And Jerron I just met, but he's a super nice guy. Like, this is going to be really interesting. And walk me through the race. This is one of my best posts ever up on the Facebook. I picture the screen, and it just got shared and shared and shared because people don't get to see this, right? Right out of Daytona Beach, Florida. Troy with his 2015 Phantom chassis. Euro 21, he's 029. He breaking out by 1,000. And I think he commented a little bit earlier. It's still hurting him. He feels fortunate to have gotten to the final round. Here's the comment right here. 1 stinking thou.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Everybody has lived that at one time or another, but not for the U.S. National.
Yeah, and so the car actually slowed down quite a bit in the final, and we went all through the data logs and everything, and actually figured out why. But that was the only run that out of the 8 rounds of competition, and even the second time run, that we didn't have a really good idea what we were going. And I was supposed to be going a little faster than I was, and I actually got rid of what I should have been holding, but as it turned out, I was only going like 890 or maybe 89 something. So that's why I was so far over. But we left. I had a good idea that we were pretty equal on the tree, and then he had a lot more mile an hour than I did. He was coming by me about 1,000 foot, was letting out the gas. I thought I had ET to get rid of. I honestly, before seeing the run or ticket, I actually thought it was a pretty easy run because I dropped what I thought I needed to kill. So I anticipated I would be pretty close to the index, and he was 400s ahead of me. So no way he can win from up there in my mind. But then on the return road, I was told that he was 1 thou under, and I was like, I still didn't see the ticket. I don't think I ever got the ticket, but I was told he was 1 thou under, and I actually told Jerron, I said, man, they said you were 1 thou under, and he actually just sat down in the grass and was like, oh my God, really? You know, he lost Indy by 1 thou, and ultimately I won it by 1 thou. But yeah, man, it was a great race, and you know, I'm just thankful it turned out the way it did, and who knows, if I would have been going faster, maybe I lose, maybe I don't. But I'm just glad it all went down the way it did for me. You know, obviously I feel bad for John losing by 1 thou because he is a good friend of mine as well. So
don't feel too badly, Troy. Let me ask you a question just to be fair. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you paint a car like that?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No
right.
question.
So he can, and he can crank out a lot of those. So you don't get all the. You get.
It took me 2 shots at Indy to win. Maybe John will do the same thing.
Exactly. So, but here we are though, and just in a similar situation with our previous guests, being the limited circumstance of 2020 and all that, you find yourself in a position where you could win a championship now. The last time you ran for points, which in 2007, you finished 3rd. I don't want to call that a half-hearted effort, but I don't think you were going out to win the world that year. What about this year? You've got some runs already in the bank. It's a limited season.
I would definitely say in 07, I started out the year more intent to win the world, honestly, because I was doing it more out of my pocket. It was the first time I really deviated from bracket racing. So I was a little more, per se, serious. I actually had a top dragster car and a super comp car. So I was showing up with 2 cars, and I did put a lot of effort in 07. And at the end of the year, I'm like, man, I don't know if I'll ever do this again. You know, I'm going to go back bracket racing type of thing. And whenever Paul came on board, and we had the discussion at the beginning of the year, and I was looking at it, and I'm like, man, I really can fit enough races in this schedule to make it work. You know, I'll be able to fit enough divisionals, enough nationals. And so, well, then the COVID outbreak and everything shut down, and I really thought there's no way I can make this all happen. You know, there's absolutely no chance that I'll be able to get a full slate of divisionals and nationals. Well, as the schedule kept changing and moving, it started falling into place where, man, if I go to Columbus, I can do a sports national and a divisional. And I'd already ran a couple divisionals early in the year, fortunately for me. And man, it's working out. And I can't get enough nationals still because of my bracket schedule. But I think if I miss one race at the end of the year, I'll be able to get one more national and one divisional, which I can only have one. I have one divisional left, and I have 2 nationals. So I'll be 1 national event short. But I already have 2 semis, and you only claim 3. I have 2 semis and a win. So my national score isn't a problem. I need to improve my divisional score.
All right, there it is. Jerron out there, by the way, says you're the epitome of the gentleman's racer. I was more honored to just be in the final with him. He's a champion, Jerron. Definitely. What are you going to do? You'd rather have won, Jerron, trust me. But
no, everybody would.
So, well, exactly. And that's the thing is, but the guy's obviously got a lot of talent to be able to do what he did.
No doubt. I mean, and he doesn't race a lot. I mean, he's a great racer. He won the division championship in IHRA a few years back. And I mean, for somebody that really part-time races, I mean, he does great. I mean, phenomenal.
Yeah. And speaking of your brother, that someone mentioned that he won the 100K, couldn't let you just have a week being the guy. Right? Like Gary goes back. No, man. Him and Kenny Underwood, speaking of like Southwestern Florida bracket racing, big time names, everybody is getting in on the action.
Yeah, we gotta kick him and Kenny have run in so many big finals, and obviously we've had a great couple weeks with winning the U.S. Nationals and that 100-grander back to back. But a while back on Luke Bogacki's podcast, they were talking about no split 50s. I mean, this is going back probably 2 years ago, year and a half ago. But Gary and Kenny ran in the finals of a 50-grander in St. Louis in 1999 and no split because of the two people they were driving for that weren't particularly fond of each other. So they ran 50,000, and back then Megabucks paid 25,000 to runner up. So there wasn't. I mean, it's a whole lot of money difference, but a good payday for runner up as well. But 21 years ago they ran in a $50,000 final and then $100,000 final that much later. So pretty neat. I mean, it was a great weekend. Everybody had a really good time.
That's awesome. Look, Mike's out there. He knows CFYA. That's been around for a long time. That's been your thing for a long time. Take the audience back to those days, Troy, where, Bradenton, Sunshine, Palm Beach, Moroso at the time. It was a lot of racing going on in the South Florida area, and the 5-day bracket race, and you guys had a big money race, Orlando 4-day, all together. It was really before this new era of these $1 million races, but it was South Florida was kind of where everybody wanted to come to race.
Oh, in November especially. And I mean, throughout the season back then, you may have, there was a weekend of 10-granders at Huntsville, and Bowling Green always had their 10-tuck deal, and then the 150-grander at Stanton. But, you might be able to travel for big money back in the middle 90s, 7-8 times a year if you hit them all. And so Florida actually had 3 weeks of big money racing back to back to back. And there was a destination type deal. People would take the family on vacation to Orlando, do the Disney World thing in between Orlando and Braden and Palm Beach, or, they swapped dates back and forth a couple times, Braden and Palm Beach did. But Braden was typically always on Thanksgiving back then. And that was another family vacation, Thanksgiving, long weekend type thing. And yeah, I mean, you going all the way back further than that, Joe, you remember when I never really had a study car. I mean, I started out running street cars and whatever anybody let me in. And I used to drive 2.5, 3 hours from my house to Palm Beach to run a regular Saturday night with you guys and drive Ronnie's dragster. And that's Ronnie's home from, South Florida legend for back then, but
Ronnie was one of had a Haas probe, just to show you Ronnie's style, everybody. The guy gets a Jerry Haas Ford probe to run bracket racing with. And that was the deal. And we had some killers and still do. And it's great to see, I feel you guys represent that era into this era as you go out and you're successful. I'm talking about Kenny. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Gary, that whole little world down there. When you mentioned Gage, the folks that remember Gage Birch being on the show, Troy's the guy's like, dude, you got to get this guy. This guy's unbelievable. And just to see that little epicenter of racing able to extend out beyond Florida into larger drag racing world has been fun and entertaining. And, me doing the show, it's pretty cool. You mentioned the 5-day. That's still one of the stats that I talk about in my little racing career. I finished 11th overall 1 year. And it was like, dude, for me, I remember
that year actually.
It was, I had 4 great days and 1 terrible day. What are you going to do? Troy, thank you very much. This was great. No, final thought. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just going back to the before mentioned. You were talking about how the talent level at our local track. I mean, and there's a lot of tracks throughout the country. Kennedale comes to mind because I know there's a ton of great racers that spawn from there. But on any given day at Braden, I mean, you could have Steve Cohen, Ed Richardson, Kenny Underwood, Gary, myself, Tim Butler. I mean, that's a Saturday night. I mean, that could have been just a normal day, and just to have that pool of talent surrounding you and draw from and that level of competition, it has to make you a better racer,
Yeah, you guys definitely were next level and cutting edge, and East Coast of Florida, West Coast of Florida. There was a lot of back and forth. We had our own guys. Peanut, of course, was really strong, who won in Super Comp, years and years ago. It's great to watch, and I wish you good luck trying to win the world. It's going to be very fun and exciting. And Gator Nationals wise, they're running the action for Atlanta. Are you going to participate in that, or?
No, man, I'm going to go to the Fling and run for the 100-grander there. Peter and Kyle, they do a great job of promoting those races, and it's the modern day Moroso, basically. The prestige of winning that race is a similar feel. The environment's very similar, and the way it's promoted, it's like I said, it's the modern Moroso. So I'm going to run both of those events back to back. I'm going to be at Rockingham for that divisional, and then the next NHRA thing will probably be Vegas.
Got it.
I'll probably fly out to the national there and maybe drive Ryan Harem's car or bum a ride from somebody. I don't think I'm going to drive the whole rig out there, but I'll probably be there just to try to add a few points to the total,
Bum a ride. Speaking of stuff that you're doing, and Kyle Seipel and the Fling, Young Guns versus Has-Beens, the practice tree event. These things have become very popular. Kyle's using it. People can make picks. You're going up against Marco Pervolaris, who is tough first round. And you're a what? You're the Has-Been? Or you're the
Oh, yeah, anybody over 45, but it's not a practice tree event. It's a real race.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
It's a real race. The format, you had to be 45 and older to qualify for the Has-Beens and under 30 to qualify for the Young Guns. So that was the criteria. And I'm not sure how they came up with the names. I was told that there was people nominating on Facebook, and that potentially is what happened. I'm not sure, but yeah, and the pairings, and it's going to be very interesting. That right now they're having on the picks that they're posting and everything. I think Kyle said it's 51 and 49%. So it's pretty cool that we're that close, because you got to figure that most of the old guys don't really do social media and stuff that much. So all the young kids are probably piling on there, and some of them are voting for it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Well, I'm going to make my pick soon enough. I don't know why I was under the impression this was another one of those things they were doing. This is actual real racing, which is great. That means Peter is going to be back in a car and all of that stuff. That's a heavy hitters list. I really appreciate it. Troy, great job. I know you're busy. You're over there working, taking a little time to do some promotion of FTI out here on WFO radio. It was great to watch you go out there and get it done at the U.S. Nationals. Thanks for coming on.
Nah, man, Joe, thanks for having me. And I'd like to once again thank Paulie and everybody at FTI McLeod and Phaedra and Greg for, starting this stuff up, giving me the opportunity to be here at all. Couldn't do it without them.
Well, and that's what it's about, though. You guys are trying to sell high-performance parts to bracket racers, super comp racers, go fast racers, top sportsman, top dragster. You got a great product, and to have you out there winning races like the U.S. Nationals, that's how it works. So good deal. Troy, thank you. Say what's up to your bro.
I will, man. Good seeing you.
All right.
Talk to you later. Thanks, Joe.
Troy Williams Jr. later. It was Troy with us here on WFO Radio. And what a show. We had 3 U.S. Nationals winners, and you should be sharing and starting watch parties and all that stuff. Time to get your final comments in the comment section. It's very challenging to try, but I try all the time, to make sure that the fans of nitro drag racing, who are thrilled by 330 mile per hour but love drag racing, realize that the stuff that's happening in stock, super comp, super gas, super street, there are amazing stories that you will love there too and appreciate them there too. And that's why we do things like Drive the Stripe and Attention in the Pits, because the nitro racers certainly bring in people who have never seen drag racing before and want to see what it's like. But the people who really love it stick around. Man, there's a lot to love in the Lucas Oil Series and even big money bracket racing. And while you're getting your final comments in the comment section, I want to tell you something that is going on. One of our listeners, one of our WFO radio listeners, heard the story about Dominic Lagana. And all of you guys know Dominic Lagana's story, and that Dom is still in a fight. He's still in really a fight for his life. And he's, it's just kind of a very tough situation. Well, Jeff and Bobby Shockey from Lakewood, Colorado, longtime bracket racers at Bandamere. And they've been doing it for 40 years. And they are currently racing Super Pro. And I'm reading this off my computer, so I'm going to move my camera. Super Comp, they got a 66 Nova. They came up with the idea a couple of years ago to make these trees that you see, or you should be seeing out there on your screen as we speak. Look at this thing. How cool is that? And this photo gives it scale. It's pretty cool. What is it for? Lawn art, backyard, fun stuff. It's just a cool piece of artwork to have for yourself, for whatever you are doing. And they actually ended up doing a bunch for Bandamere for their GoFundMe. And they thought that they would end up making 5 or 6, and they ended up making 36 trees to help it out. Well, he's a listener and a viewer of our show here. And he decided he wanted to make one of these trees to donate to the cause of getting you guys to support Dominic in this endeavor. So watching WFO, he heard mention what we could do for Dominic. So his wife and he made the tree for Lagana Strong, and it's 100% for donation. All the money for the trees will go to Lagana Strong, and we're going to figure out exactly how to do that. But I want to say what's up and thank you to Jeff and Bobby Shockey. Now, here's the thing. What exactly is the way that we're going to try to generate the most charitable impact with Jeff's donation? And at this moment, I don't have that dialed in. And so I'm reaching out beyond the screen to the WFO universe and find out. And we're going to connect with people over there at Torrance Racing. We're going to connect with the folks at the NHRA and try to figure it out. Maybe someone wants to make an unbelievable donation directly and to the GoFundMe, and we'll figure out how to verify that. But I wanted to get this on the air, and we'll sort out like the details afterwards, because it's such a great thing to think that there are a lot of people. Jerron, for instance, is doing a helmet, and he's going to debut that later on in the season. But everybody in the racing community really digging down deeply to find a way, whether it be going to nitrofishracing.com and getting yourself a Lagana Strong shirt, or going to the GoFundMe page, or Jeff making this really cool artwork Christmas tree for someone out there. And you can always reach out to me on our social media, or Joe at WFOradio.com to help with the cause as we take Jeff and put him together with one of the charitable organizations to make it possible so that everybody can do their best. All right, let's get to the final comments before we dial back in. Like to Monica, super cool. It is super cool. It is. Our listeners, our viewers. And that's why we have our sponsors, because they know that the people who watch this show, even if they're first timers, they realize that this is more than it's a community of racers, really. I'm listening, buddy. I don't know who it is. I'm guessing it's Mike Ashley. What's up, Mike? Raffle. I always get so worried that people are just not going to pony up the number that I think it's worth. And that's why I don't do like live auctions, and we could put it on eBay. We could tell everybody where to go. We could get it in a fight knowing what it is. Like that's right now, I think, in the lead. But I do want to reach out beyond the WFO universe to see if there's another way, a better way to do it. Jeff says, another great one, Joe. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for being so kind. Jim, an awesome show. Troy Williams Jr., I'm paranoid to this moment that I accidentally said Troy Coughlin at the start of the show. I don't think I did, but I might have. But it's just burrowing into my brain. I'm going to have to go back and check it out. Troy and his brother Gary and Kenny Underwood, talking about those guys that raced at Bradenton when I was racing at Miami Hollywood and Moroso Motorsports Park, right in that era. They were nice people too, which was the thing. And to go over there to Sunshine and see that track, and then, go to Bradenton, super smooth facility. Troy's parents managed it. And, Gary coming up turned into an unbelievable racer, like heaviest of hitters. It's really cool. And there it is. 660 Thunder breaks over, back to work. Let's see. Jim Norris, the Williams and the McDaniels are Florida's racing machines. Yeah, Dwayne McDaniel, Ernie McDaniel built my race car and pretty much taught me how to race. Those guys, Dale, Jason. We had really great racers. And that's what, if you've got a drag strip, let me tell you, you need to protect it. You need to protect it. You don't understand. You need to protect it. You got somebody that owns your local drag strip and you hate them. You don't think they're doing a good job. Maybe they're not, but you need to try to protect that racetrack, because once it's gone, nothing's coming back. Here in South Florida, where I live, Pembroke Pines, Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale area, we had Miami Hollywood Speedway, that tree that you're seeing in the background there. An amazing facility. We did a happy hour with Daryl Gwynn talking about how great a facility it was. We had engine shops. We had chassis shops. We had a whole racing subculture. We had all kinds of people that were heavy into it. And our racers were really great as well. Cutting edge, bracket racing, everything. But when the track goes away, the shops go away, the people go away. We went like Rick Rapp, Heads by Rick, who's now out there in the warehouse complex at Vegas. Our track went away. He knew that they were going to build warehouses by Vegas. They moved to Vegas, and they built a lot of engines out there. And, Jeremy Rapp worked for Snake for a while. We had a lot of people come through South Florida who went out into the drag racing world and did a lot of great things. It's pretty amazing. Not just racing, by the way. You look at the people in news media that come through South Florida who go on to great things. It's pretty incredible. Jackie Johnson, Los Angeles weather girl. She was here first, just so you know. All the LA weather people know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see. We're all family if you're a racer or even a fan. Yes, that is so true. We love what you do, buddy. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it. Buy a face covering. Crane Cams. That's right, Jim. Like Greg Kramer, Corey Kramer, Greg Cams. Big deal. My neighbor across the street, my first ever babysitter, Darlene Davis, was daughter of Bob Davis. She raced a Super Comp dragster. He was a national record holder. So many things going on in the South Florida community, and it's great to see that continues on. All right, happy hour on Friday. I guess tomorrow we're going to be off, unless, let me see, did I get a text message back from any of the people that I requested? Not yet. So what we'll do is I think we're going to go happy hour on Friday. Mike Heiner, Eddie Granacci, and Mike Heiner claims to have recruited Dave Connolly for an all-pro stock crew chief happy hour. What do you think of that? All-pro stock crew chief happy hour, talking about the details and the minutia and the craziness that is figuring out how to tune one of these factory hot rods over beverages with WFO Joe on Friday at 4:00. I think it's pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. All right. If you'd like to support the show immediately and directly, go to WFOradio.com and get yourself one of these face coverings. They're very useful when you need a face covering. $10, including shipping. And I'll throw in a couple of WFO Radio stickers as well. You can get it at WFOradio.com. Click the link. You can pay with a credit card or PayPal or however you want to pay. Super easy. Do that, and I'll drop it in the mail immediately. Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com, hot sauces, spice rubs, everything good. Marvin Rodak. Buy a pound of coffee. Keep this guy a sponsor. Keep our sponsors in business. And he's got all kinds of great new exotic coffee from around the world. I'm noticing on social media, there's like posts about healthy coffee now. Healthy coffee. Marvin Rodak's got the best of the best from around the world. Samtech.edu. Aaron Stanfield, Gator Nationals preview. Aaron Stanfield, U.S. Nationals winner. When you're done with this, go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, check it out. It's all to promote Samtech and their great program that they have out there where you as someone can get a foundational knowledge to become an engine builder, a machinist, a CNC programmer, EFI tuner, etc. Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. Hidden horsepower, amazing stuff. Got Joey Arrington. Great stories from the early days of NASCAR. Like when you would pull up next to someone on the street and try to buy the engine out of their car because it had a better block or the block you needed to go run NASCAR. Pretty amazing. Joey Arrington. Great advice from Maurice Petty that everybody needs to know. I'm not going to tell you what it is, though. That's on the Hidden Horsepower podcast. It's all done so that you learn that if you're an engine builder, you should use Total Seal Piston Rings. Simple as that. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, the Dragster Adventure, frankhawley.com. How about Scotty Pollacheck giving an impromptu plug? And so did Erica, and so did Jack. You should be sold on that one. Also want to mention Nitro Fish. This is where you get the Lagana Strong shirt right over here. Lagana Strong, nitrofishracing.com. That's Bo. That's Randy Lynn. I heard Bo and Randy Lynn on the coverage of the big bracket race that Gary and Kenny made to the final round, and they were doing a great job. Color commentary. Media moguls, Bo and Randy Lynn. Very, very cool. If you want some free WFO Radio stickers, you don't want the face covering, you don't want to spend the $10, you want something for free, that's fine. Castello Media /WFO stickers, P.O. Box 848-353, Pembroke Pines, Florida, 33084. And just want to say what's up to everybody out there who's on Patreon. You got to hear a little of the audio of the Patreon show today, where I made the big Scotty Pollacheck prediction and told Mark Stockseth, who is a Patreon, sorry, Mark, I outed you, to keep it to himself. And that's what it is. It's like even more of a secret society. These are people that pay directly to hear stuff. I don't want to oversell it. They're paying for this, but they get over stuff, other stuff. Go to patreon.com/WFO radio. You can find it on the website. Pretty cool. And I also want to mention Drag Racing Edge magazine. They put an ad in their magazine for us. So we always want to tell you that Drag Racing Edge, John DeBartolomeo, has got good stuff going on. A new episode has come out very recently, right before Indy. And also Competition Plus, Bobby Bennett. Happy birthday. 21 years of CompetitionPlus.com. They are now posting all of these shows. So if you're watching on Competition Plus, thank you for watching. I encourage you to subscribe. All right, let me play the music and then I'll play final comments. We got an ignition show up. It's great. Oh, that's it. We got an excellent, and I got a thank you. And the shout out to Crank Cams, which started out in South Florida. And now would be a great time for me to pitch to some unidentified millionaire. There's still land here in South Florida. And if you want to build a drag strip that is NHRA national event caliber, I can guarantee you, anecdotally, that this market will immediately become the most well-attended national event on the tour. I know that from 47 years of life experience about the South Florida community. We've got great weather. We've got a very diverse international squad, and people love racing. The only track we can race on now is Pit Road of Homestead Miami Speedway for Fastlane Friday. And while it is one of my best gigs, and I love it, you don't have two equal lanes. It's definitely not like a national event potential. So let's build a track. How about it? Love the idea of the happy hour. Yeah, Heiner Granacci and hopefully Dave Connolly. I'm not promoting Dave super hard because, maybe he doesn't know what he's getting into. Who knows? Thanks to Scotty and Susan Pollacheck, of course, and Chip for sponsoring them. Thanks to Troy for coming on the show and get to reminisce a little bit. Guy just won Indy. Amazing. And Doug Gordon. How about his two daughters doing the bottom end on an alcohol funny car? That's why you got to walk through the pits, Lucas Oil Series pits, meet these people, see what they're doing. It's just awesome stuff. And that'll do it. We'll see you on Friday unless somebody gets back to me. It's not too late, but you know how it is. You watch for the notification. I don't need to give you the schedule. You see the notification, you watch the show. That's it. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on WFO Radio. Thanks again to everyone.